The other day, the para in my classroom made my day by telling me that something that I taught the kids actually helped her when she was taking her teacher test. What's that one thing? Well, that's what I'm going to share with you in today's short episode. Hey friends, welcome to Enjoy Teaching Again, the podcast for teachers who love the work but need a little spark to bring the joy back. I'm your host, Elizabeth Peterson, classroom teacher, arts integration specialist, and passionate educator of over 25 years. If you're overwhelmed by behaviors, disengaged students, and long, exhausting days, you are not alone. But together, we can turn things around and you can teach with confidence and purpose again. So locate that cold coffee of yours, find your favorite pen, I know you have one, and let's dive in. It's time to get inspired and enjoy teaching again. You've been at this for a while and maybe you want to think about resetting your classroom, but you feel like it's going to take forever, or maybe it's going to be complicated, or it might even be a little expensive. Listen, that is not the case, and if I'm anything, I am practical and I want your resetting experience to be meaningful. That's why the Classroom Reset is designed to make this easy and fun. We'll explore practical, creative strategies to keep your students engaged and excited to learn, dynamic classroom management tips that actually work, and arts-based activities that boost your students' social emotional growth. And the best part? This approach is going to feel natural, effortless, and like second nature in your everyday teaching. That's the point. It's not about doing more, it's about resetting what you already do. You can dive in and implement these strategies right away, step by step, at your own pace. No fancy equipment, no overwhelming lesson plans, and no need to buy a bunch of new stuff. I'll show you how to integrate these creative strategies into what you're already doing so that you can see real change real fast, and with the support that you need and deserve. So join me inside the Classroom Reset experience. Let's transform your classroom together faster than you thought possible. Head over to theinspiredclassroom.com/reset to get started. I love teaching math because of all the fun ways that you can engage students through the arts. And I also love math because it allows me opportunities to get kids really thinking and problem solving. And of course, with that can come some behavior problems, right? When a student maybe is uncomfortable about math or really doesn't fully understand the content, that can lead to some disruptive behaviors. And so engaging students a little bit more in this type of problem solving can really help. One of the content challenges that I find with many of the students I've taught over the years is in them truly understanding what numbers actually represent. And so I make a very big deal about labeling answers and understanding what numbers actually mean. For example, if a word problem is having students add up apples and oranges, the ending label for the answer is very important. And I want students to really fully understand what their answers actually mean. So I make a big deal about labels. Not in a very serious way, but I'd like to think a memorable way. In fact, I think it is something that I'm kind of known for with the students that I've taught. When a student gives me an answer and just says the number, I'll pause and say, okay, 10 what? Elephants? And of course, they laugh. But it gets them thinking, because if we're adding apples and oranges, the answer isn't just 10. It certainly isn't 10 elephants. It's 10 pieces of fruit. And that silly question is my way of just helping students stop and check. Does my answer actually match what the problem is asking? With math, it's just so important for students to understand what each number truly represents. And that's where a couple of other key strategies come into play. And these strategies truly engage the student in what they're learning. And as we've talked about before, that type of whole body and whole mind engagement can fully get students focused on what they're actually learning and can dwindle. Do you love that word? Does anyone even use that word anymore? But it can. It can dwindle the student behaviors that you don't want and hopefully rev up the learning. One is visualization. When we are reading over a word problem, I'll ask students to think of the word problem like a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And in the beginning, it will tell you a character, it will tell you a setting, and sometimes even an initiating event. The middle will give you just more information, like the number information, and the ending will undoubtedly pose a question that you need to solve. This is a key engagement strategy that I use with my students, and as you know, engagement is a key component to the reset framework. Engagement doesn't have to be something that overhauls your entire lesson or takes up a crazy amount of your class time. Engagement can be these simple strategies to help students look at their content in a different way and engage their brain. So for example, if the word problem is, and I literally just grabbed this off of a worksheet, Mike had 2 $10 bills, his sister Leah had a $5 bill. They combined their money to buy a gift for their father that costs $22. How much change did they receive? You can see that the characters are Mike and Leah. The initiating event is that they are buying their father a gift. The setting seems to be at the store because they seem to already know how much the gift is going to cost them. And as a side note, that means kids are actually also making inferences as they're reading this, which is a great little thing to kind of just take note of. The middle of this story provides us with some number information. We know how much they are spending. We know how much they are both contributing and that they're in on this gift together. And of course, the ending is great because it's like a cliffhanger. We need to figure out how much change they'll get once they purchase the gift. I actually love taking the time to really point out and go through the entire word problem and how it's really just a story, which brings me to this next engagement strategy for math. And this is the one that my para, Maddie, used the other day for herself. And the strategy is, when in doubt, draw it out. I absolutely love this engagement strategy. In fact, there are some days that I will have my students get their whiteboard and marker. We all sit at the rug together and just play the game. When in doubt, draw it out. And that's when I will say a word problem and then have them draw out the whole situation on their whiteboard. This is such a handy strategy to use when you're learning a new type of word problem or honing in on something that students are not really fully understanding yet. For example, I loved using this strategy in 3rd grade when they were just starting division. Or it's great to use when your students are having trouble with multi-step word problems. And I find myself using it still in 5th grade with word problems that involve new concepts to 5th grade, such as multiplying and dividing with fractions. And what I love about this strategy is that it doesn't just help with students understanding the math, it actually helps prevent off-task behavior. When students are drawing and visualizing and thinking through the problem, they're so engaged. And that's when you see fewer shutdowns, fewer distractions, and just more calm in the room. The first couple of times, the students will usually draw some detailed illustrations, and I just let that happen. And as time goes on, I'll demonstrate and model how to make the drawings just much simpler and quicker. For example, if we're talking about boxes of crayons, I won't draw 5 boxes with 24 lines representing each crayon in each box. Instead, I'll draw 5 rectangles with the number 24 in each. But it's important to understand that part of your students' creative process, their learning process, may be to first painstakingly, and yes, it can be painstaking to watch all your students make these super detailed drawings, but it is part of their learning process to have them draw 5 detailed boxes of 24 crayons in each. Maybe make it a box of 8 crayons each in that case. And you may find that it's in your best interest to just let that happen. That's how they'll naturally learn that putting that much detail into it is ultimately not the easiest route to take when you have to do a math word problem. And of course, the ultimate goal is for students to just be able to use this strategy on their own on a scrap piece of paper as they're doing their work, or even in the margins of their worksheet. Just nice and simple. And that's what Maddie did. She had a math word problem or an open response on her teacher test, and she took the couple of minutes of time to draw out what she was being asked so that she could undoubtedly get the correct answer. And of course, with the correct label as well. Engagement strategies in math are just so fun to incorporate because it helps the math concepts to come alive. Honestly, strategies like this don't just help students, they help make teaching math more calm and more enjoyable for us too. And it's not just with math, it's with every type of content. From social studies to writing stories, it's important to help students become just more engaged with what they're learning, which is why engagement is one of the major steps in my Reset framework. And inside the Classroom Reset, we look at engagement through the lens of creativity and the arts and play. If you want to learn more about the Reset framework, you can download my free Reset Roadmap at theinspiredclassroom.com/roadmap. Inside, I share with you all the steps inside the framework and give you the opportunity to try them out in your classroom. Engagement isn't just for students, it's for us too, and it's certainly part of what helps us to enjoy teaching again. I hope this episode inspired you, encouraged you, or gave you a fresh idea to try. And if so, I would love for you to take a screenshot and text it to one of your teaching buddies. I'm so grateful that you landed here with me today, and it would mean the world to me if you would leave me a review over on Apple Podcast. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode. This is Elizabeth Peterson reminding you to get inspired so you can be inspiring to your students and enjoy teaching again.